I want to talk about radioactive waste. There's 4 types you have to know. This is study goal number 41. We have low level, mid level, high level, and transuranic waste. 4 types. And you should know that transuranic waste and high level waste are pretty similar. These are both different types of spent fuel rods. Okay, so I want to talk about the transuranic first. That's a small percentage of spent fuel rods. This is the stuff that used to be uranium. And after you split the atoms, you get a lot of parts flying around. Some of those atomic parts can make a few bigger atoms. What's special about these is that they are super heavy. This is rare. Like most plutonium doesn't hold up on Earth. But when you play with uranium, you get a couple of isotopes of plutonium that are possible briefly on Earth. So you should know transuranic waste is a product of reactions. Used to be uranium, and now you get some bigger elements. These are weird. And if you can enrich them, that's really useful for weapons because they have a lot of energy potential when these break up, or maybe to make new fuel. Transuranic waste is pretty sketchy. It's dangerous. It's part of spent fuel, but it does have interesting potential. It's probably not going to be on the AP test, but maybe you've heard of breeder reactors. Those are reactors that are supposed to make more transuranic waste. Their decay reactions are guided with other ingredients to raise the amount of transuranic waste. Anyway, then we can start at the top. Low level has been exposed to radioactivity. So, you know, it's got a few wobbly elements in there. Has a little radioactivity, so it'll kind of give off some parts or give off some energy. But mostly this is not such a big deal. Low-level waste is usually just labeled and buried. And mid-level waste is about the same, just labeled more, buried deeper. And mid-level waste can be dangerous, and so people have to really limit their exposure to this. This has pretty strict time limits. Like if you work in one of those facilities, you only get close to this material, 2 days a month or whatever. Finally, high-level radioactive waste is the spent fuel rods that are really hot, falling apart. They are the average decay products that we talked about earlier. This stuff is highly radioactive. You cannot get close to this. And here we have to block those neutrons to keep more reactions from happening. So this has to be heavily controlled. You don't want a chain reaction. So these are almost always stored in water. And humans have to go by and check on it all the time. It takes a lot of technology. And high-level radioactive waste is kind of, in terms of our lifetime, it's forever. Meaning this stuff is dangerous, hundreds of thousands of years. All right. Remember, transuranic can be reprocessed. It's a part of spent fuel. Remember that low level gets buried, and mid-level or intermediate is buried better. So it's just deeper caves or whatever. But get ready for the crazy thing now. This is a big one. We're not sure what to do with the high-level waste. That's not a biased liberal lie or whatever. We really don't have a plan. Every nuclear power plant in the United States has all the high-level waste it has ever produced sitting in the plant somewhere. You could say it's just sitting out back. I mean, technically it's inside, but I mean to say that the trash is piling up. There's no plan for the high level waste nationwide. We don't know. Like, we've been making this stuff since the 70s and 60s, and we don't have a place to put it. We really don't know. Fuel rods only last so long. You make the fuel rods, and then they give off a lot of heat, and now they're super radioactive, and then you got to put them somewhere. So old nuclear power plants have these giant pools where they keep putting all the spent fuel, and they're like, I guess we got to start another one, and they just keep piling it up. You see, if you were going to bury this, you have to bury it really, really, really far underground, like generally underneath geologic features. And Canada does this. Canada inspired the United States to plan on this. And so we spent like 30 years looking for a place in the country where we could do this, and nobody wanted it. And everybody's like, pick on Nevada because nobody likes Nevada. So we were planning to put this in a place called Yucca Mountain. And you should probably know that it's a famous place. Yucca Mountain in Nevada. We thought we were going to build a network of tunnels in rock underneath a giant mountain, which would be deep enough, I guess, to put all this super radioactive stuff. And then we would just look at it forever because, somebody has to walk through and make sure that it's all legit. But Yucca Mountain thing kind of fell through because apparently there's like an earthquake fault right next to Yucca Mountain, and apparently there's like deep groundwater. So in the meantime, we're just accumulating waste. If you look at the map of the United States, we have a tremendous collection of radioactive material. For example, we're pretty close to some radioactive stuff in Diablo Canyon. There's some more down by San Diego. It's all over. It's all over. Pretty much wherever people are, we've got radioactive waste piling up. And we'll come back to this, but the fact that there's no plan just drives me crazy. That just drives me crazy. It's like I'm going to just start stashing dynamite all over town, and my whole plan is just to keep doing that. Like, that is so reckless. I just can't believe this. Anyway, sorry. It looks like our safest plan for radioactive waste is to turn it into glass. That's called vitrification, where instead of storing all this stuff in water in barrels, or in these big pools, you mix it with sand and make it into glass, because at least that's really stable for a long, long time. So some amount of waste, we're thinking about making it into glass, but it takes a ton of energy to do that. And so all of a sudden, nuclear power starts to look energy negative because it takes so much energy to monitor the waste and to handle the waste. Crazy, crazy thought. And no, you can't shoot it into space. There's not enough rockets. There have never been enough rockets for the amount of waste we're talking about. And rockets fail sometimes. And so then you would just be drizzling radioactive waste all over the humans. There's really no plan. All right. That's it for radioactive waste.